watching and listening to Conscious Evolution Media, shifting global consciousness at consciousevolutionmedia.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kids Talk Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing youth advocacy, television programming, and training services in the United States, along with comprehensive medical and educational services for the developing world, most recently in Kenya, Africa, where Kids Talk Foundation provides a feeding program, medical care, and educational services to over 1,300 young people each day. Please help our youth and place your donation. Go to www.kidstalk.org. Are you in the entertainment industry? If you answered yes and you want to promote yourself, your passion, and profession, check out Creative Independent Artist magazines at CIAartists.com. Endorsed by Kids Talk Foundation worldwide.
Welcome to the Ninon Speaks Internet TV show. Ninon is an international entrepreneur and philanthropist who's become an influential and positive role model for thousands of people all over the world. Drawing on a rich tapestry of experience from her adventures both in front of and behind the camera, Ninon captivates, entertains, and inspires audiences from all walks of life. Her motto is, "Nothing happens without you." Now, here's your host, Ninon de Verde Rosa.
Welcome to Ninon Speaks, and yes, it's absolutely true. Nothing happens without you, and that means the whole world, not just you, and you. It means everyone. And I found that out because I cannot do it on my own. And the reason I cannot do it on my own, I had two beautiful guests today, so if I didn't have them, I wouldn't have a show. So here we go. We have an incredible lady with us. Her name is Valeriana, and she has a company called Petals Isabella. Her name is beautiful. Her company's name is beautiful. And apparently what I've been reading is also beautiful and something very, very unusual. And the gentleman sitting next to her, he is Brian Sebastian. And he actually he came in from Beverly Hills today just to be on the show, to be with our guest. And he has a wonderful program. He actually does movie reviews in Beverly Hills, and my goodness, who wants to hear about that? So welcome both of you to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, everyone wants to know what's going in the movie world. I mean, it's one of the biggest industries, I think, in Hollywood, isn't it, Brian?
It still is, even with runaway production, but it still is. It's still one of the best mediums to try to get into. Everybody wants to come around the world to try to get into it still. So
I
yes.
know, and then they all sort of come into Hollywood. And I mean, movies are made everywhere else, all over the place, but they always think Hollywood, they're going to make it. And some do, and some don't.
Absolutely. I always say it's one of the toughest things to do, I think. But once you make it, it's a good thing. You just got to keep going at that point.
And what made you go into it, actually, Brian?
Oh, I never wanted to be an actor or a director or a screenwriter. I came from home video, so I came from the home video world. Quentin Tarantino came from the home video world. Kevin Smith from Clerks, Chasing Amy, came from the home video world. So we were the last three to come out. Obviously, they like to act. I like to be behind the scenes. I like to help people behind the scenes get in front of the camera if I can. So.
And Valeriano, what about you? You've gone into these petals, these flowers, these gardens, and you've kind of sort of had this passion for many, many years, terrariums and everything. What made you go into this?
I love life, and I love all living things, and making or creating what people like to see, whether they're sitting at their desk or at work or wherever. They can take their mind off of things and actually have a garden to look at and pretend like they're there. So, for instance, I have one that is a desert oasis, and it's sitting on my desk. And whenever I see that, I just think, goodness, I would love to be on that desert where the water is and where there's jewels around it.
So you make a make-believe garden type of place where you actually want to be in?
Yes, absolutely.
So you make all that, and then you're actually in it, and you can be in it, and this is all done through Las Vegas, right?
Through Las Vegas is where my market is right now, yes. And, pardon?
did you start your market anywhere else, or is this where you started it?
This is the start right now, and so Las Vegas is so much fun because there's a lot of different angles to art here, and so many different people come from around the world here, and I'm focusing on events and weddings, those types of things, business to business.
I would think it would be a great, sorry to interrupt you, but I think it would be a great thing in Vegas because everybody that comes to Vegas, they kind of want something different. So you kind of create this different look and this different style. What's been the most exquisite one you've done?
Ooh, I have just created one for an attorney, a defense attorney here in town, and it's an immaculate piece. I'm so happy and proud of it. It's just beautiful. It's a very large piece, and it goes perfectly with the decor of his office, and it has blind justice on sitting in the terrarium. And the thing that's incredible about terrariums is that they are they're very easy to maintain. You don't have to water them every day. Yeah. For instance, the one that I have behind me here is one of the first ones that I have made, which
that's beautiful. I see a little heart up there. It's absolutely lovely.
That's a different one. This is one that's enclosed. So okay. I have not watered that in about 5 months. So I haven't not even had to touch it, and that's a good thing for people that...
Well, that's a good thing for a lawyer, because a lawyer is usually very busy in his office. Oh, my goodness.
And the one that she created for the lawyer, she decided to call not guilty.
Oh, you even name them as well?
Absolutely.
It's the best thing to do.
To name them, absolutely. I just want to tell our audience that we're outside. We're actually all in Las Vegas. I'm in Las Vegas, and our two guests are in Las Vegas, though Brian does come from Beverly Hills. And I want to know I know how you got on my show. Valeriana got on my show because I had given away one of my programs, well, actually a couple of my programs, at Yvette Brown's event that she has, I think every Wednesday, where she has like a networking event, but it's not really, it's like a very social event. It's absolutely beautiful. And you actually won the prize, right?
Yes, we were very excited about winning the prize and coming on your show.
And then, now I want to know, how are you involved with Brian? How do you two get involved?
Well, we met last year at a convention, and through a mutual friend who we're still friends with. And as you know, like you leave a convention, you get all these business cards, you want to talk to everybody, and we started communicating afterwards. And a lot of people don't do a lot of follow-up, and that's the problem. But we all became good friends. We're all still good friends, and we live in different places. So I ended up coming up for a convention, and she came down for an event that I was doing, and we ended up having fun. And sometimes I always tell people, you got to take them outside the four walls. So once they get outside their environment, they get a chance to see how the other people live like. So she was on my schedule for like 48 hours. So she got for example, she went to an NBC event for new and returning TV shows. So she got a chance to see, we were at the old Ritz-Carlton, which is called the Langham Hotel, Spa and Resort now in Pasadena, which is a beautiful hotel. So
I know it well.
Come down here. You know. You need to come down here and look to see how everything is done up. And we have a lot of our celebrity events. And I said, there's no reason that you can't be doing something like this. I said, so you need to come and experiment that. And even tomorrow when we leave, early in the morning, she's coming down. We're going to go down to the SOS Hotel in Beverly Hills, and I'll have her talk to one of my friends over there and say, you know what, let's see what's here. Let's see what you can hopefully create and get it into that hotel.
Yeah, because actually you're creating anything that actually could go on a movie set. I mean, you could create a whole bunch of different stuff that's really very, very different. Do you ever have any real animals in any of your things you do?
I do not at this time. That would be a little bit more maintenance that I'm afraid some people might not want to take on.
But she does have miniatures in them, though.
I do have miniatures.
Because I was thinking like a fish tank. To dress up like a fish tank, you could make that. Because fish tanks are always sort of, they can be really made so beautiful that you could really create that.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. There's one thing, we went to a place called Real Water, and there's a fish tank that she always goes and looks at, so you never know. It might be in the future.
There you go.
Absolutely. I like them large because there's so much room to do anything with. And it's such a passion I really, really love doing. And
I never expect that it would start sort of getting bigger and bigger like this. I mean, you've got Brian that is absolutely incredible PR for you. Amazing.
Absolutely.
That's my job.
That's your job.
This has got miniature animals in it.
So you do things with animals, but they're miniature animals.
This is a circus terrarium. You can see there's a carnivorous plant in here. We have the tigers and the clowns, and of course the trapeze artists hanging off the side. If you can see that, I don't.
Where would that go? What sort of person would have that or order that?
Oh, anyone that likes the circus. I know I do.
I think everybody likes the circus. I like the circus around.
This would be great for children because the carnivorous plant is so neat in here. And this has not been watered in a month and a half also.
Oh,
so
it would be great for children because then they won't have to sort of, take care of it all the time. And then the mother walks into the bedroom and it died and they get into trouble.
Yeah, especially a lot of guys like that, too, because a lot of guys are not good with plants or anything like that. So.
No, they're not. So what do you think of all this, Brian? You brought this young lady into your arena, and you're more into the movie field. And do you think that she can actually sort of be part of you together, and both of you sort of creating something different together?
No, I think she's worthless. No, I'm only kidding. So this comes into the more part. That's why it's called Movie Reviews and More. There's not another site that does anything like that, what we do. There's not another journalist that does stuff like that because I know them all. There's only 200 on the TV side and 500 on the feature film side. So there's not that many. So the reason I call it Movie Reviews and More, I wanted to have something outside of that too, but it was also connected to the movie business. That's why. And it goes into, like you said earlier, you can do stuff like this at people's offices. A lot of publicists like this, a lot of celebrities like this, and average people in general like this.
And also this would make a great gift to thank somebody for what they've done for you and to sort of something very different that you can actually make of something they like around them that sort of it means that you've put some thought into it and you've really cared for this particular client or customer of yours.
Yes, that's the beauty of it. And getting unique ideas for creating a terrarium for individuals, it's so fun to learn what they like and then making a living piece of art out of that. It's just fabulous.
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever been in the movie business yourself? Been an actress?
No.
Why? You should be.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that as a nice compliment.
Oh, definitely should be. Now let's get a little bit onto Brian. Your talents sort of expanded on a long way, and you're into the motion picture business. What's going on with the motion pictures? Is it still as good as it was? Is it getting better?
This is what's getting better. Social media with everybody is getting better, as you're aware. Skyping with people, because now you can be in different places. For me, I do a lot of one-on-one interviews. I like to control the hotel atmosphere where I go in, where I can control the sound elements and stuff like that. Because, as radio, we need to have clean sound. For TV, we like to be outside, because outside you can't control nature or anything that happens, obviously.
Well, that's
so for me, that way, I like that.
You like to be outside?
No, I like to be inside because
more
control.
Yes, more control inside. And you've our program to our audience. Our program today is actually outside. So when you start hearing all those different noises, is because it is outside, and we have no control over that. And you're absolutely right.
Well, the reason why I felt it was better outside, no matter if the wind was going to blow or not, even if it was raining, was because it's everything beautiful terrariums, and they can go any place. Used to see them inside, but never enough outside, as far as I can.
That's true, but we've got inborn sound. We've got inborn noises that we've now created, so we can make use of them all. I just want to give a shout out to Blog TV. Blog TV are now airing us on their show, so you are on front page of Blog TV, and everybody is watching you. So whatever you need to get out there, let's get it out there. What has ever been your hardest interview you've ever had, and who have you interviewed, Brian? Because I know interviews tonight, they can be pretty tough,
Well, one of the and I like him. He's a great actor. But one of the most difficult interviews was John Goodman. He had 4 movies coming up at one time, and on TV he's great. On doing one-on-one TV interviews, he's great. But you stick a couple microphones in front of his face, and he starts sweating. He just absolutely just didn't know what to do. He had The Big Lebowski coming out. He had Borrowers and 2 other movies. And had it not been that I knew what he liked because he was from Louisiana and he liked jazz, he went into a jazz voice. So he came in as another person, and he wasn't John Goodman, and he was happy at that point. And then he reverted back because he didn't know what to say after that.
Oh, that's amazing. I guess, we get trapped into doing what we do, and then we take ourselves out of that realm, and it's not as easy, because funny you should say about a radio show. I did a radio show about 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden I didn't have, the cameras and everything. I just talking to this little square thing, and it did make me, nervous, because I couldn't see what I was saying.
Yeah. And David Geffen, I have to say, David Geffen is the toughest one that I did. I asked him a question. You've been successful on Broadway. You've been successful in the movies.
Yeah.
What is best for you? Which one do you prefer more? He didn't have an answer. He didn't have one answer. Here's a guy who literally discovered Tom Cruise, who financed risky business. Where's Tom Cruise this day? He's still the #1 action person, right up there with Will Smith. He did Dreamgirls. He didn't have an answer. For 45 minutes, I asked the very first question. Journalist after journalist was asking him this question. He didn't know what to say.
Why do you think actors and people that are so talented that happens to them?
Because they like to be somebody else. See, I like being me. I'm comfortable with me. I don't have a problem. I couldn't act to save my life because I like me. And I'm also always involving with my friends around me. My friends are really, I always say my friends are my family and my family is my acquaintance. For me, that's correct. Because I've learned a lot from my friends, especially my female friends.
I know you feel comfortable in your own skin. Valerie, how do you feel? Do you feel comfortable in your own skin?
Oh my goodness, yes I do.
You do?
Very much so.
Now, has Brian interviewed you yet?
He's been talking about it, not at this time. We're actually going to LA for a horse show, and his film crew is going to film me doing a terrarium for a lady named Kim
Kalesa out of Camarillo, California. She's a Grand Prix champion. So she's got a bunch of students that she has writing in a 3-level show, and she's going to be writing herself. So I said, this will be a great opportunity to go over to Spirit Ranch and do this. Because I came out of the horse world for dressage, too. That's, again, part of the more part. And I figured terrariums go with dressage, and so does wine tasting and stuff like that, too.
I think, Brian, you're just one big creator.
I call it branding. I'm working on it.
You're working on it. And so what are the people like in Beverly Hills? You stuck yourself in Beverly Hills, and I know Beverly Hills quite well. And how are they all for, to do what you're trying to do, which is, I presume you interview other people, not only movie people. How do you get all your people to sort of come in and get the interviews? Do you have a company or you have people that go out there and help you find people to interview? How do you do that?
Well, what happened for me was I ended up getting onto the MPAA list when I started a public access show in 1994. And that did it for me. I used to have a lot of celebrities coming to the video stores that I ran at one point. Chris Penn would come in, a lot of producers, and they go, why don't you do movie reviews? And I go, well, how do you do that? They go, you have to call the MPAA. And then the MPAA said, well, you have to have 5 major producers and directors accredit you before we take you seriously. And they go, you have to get Steven Spielberg to write you a letter. I'm like, how do I do that? So what I did is I created a public access show called Movie Reviews and More, and I became the host and producer, and I had 5 different directors. So I was the first one to be accredited from a public access show because I kind of broke the rules, but they accredited me. And then I got on lists slowly but surely, and I started doing one-on-one interviews on Radio Roundtable.
How long were you with public access?
I was there for 5 years. I did 100+ shows.
What studio were you in?
The one that was out of Santa Monica. I used to do one off of Crenshaw, and then I did another one in another place because they were localized then at that point. But the old VCR days, VHS days, everything was set on Channel 3. Well, that channel was on Channel 3. So no matter what.
The reason I'm asking all these questions, I'm leading up to something, is I'm surprised we haven't met. I started a show called Kids Talk, a public access, down in Santa Monica. It was called Kids Talk. And
it sounds familiar when you mention that.
Yeah, I did it for 15 years, and then I was like you. I came out of the public access, and I went over to Channel 36, and I was in Channel 36 for, I don't know, about 12, 13 years.
Well, what happened is I got enough tapes. I used to go by and deliver them to the publicists themselves, the days that you could go and do it. And they go, well, for example, I went over there to visit a good friend, Vivian Boyer. She had been there for 25 years. She goes, no one comes to see us. What are you doing here? I go, I brought a VHS tape to her of the show that we did. I go, I want you to know who I am because I want to get on your list. And lo and behold, she let me on a list, but I had to call up each time for all the lethal weapon stuff because I was the person with no outlet. I was on public access, but I didn't tell them that. As long as I had a tape and I had a show, they were happy.
Why didn't you tell them you were on public access? Was that
because it was looked down on at that point? That was
You're right.
You were supposed to be taken. You were supposed to be syndicated.
Yes.
So when I broke the rules for the MPA, I'm like, hey, if I can get them through this way, I can create something else, and I did.
So you really had guts though out there.
You know what? I mean, as you know, if you don't go out and do it, who's going to do it for you?
Well, I agree with you 100%. If you don't get out and do it and do what you did, because I did the same thing, and I ended up shooting my shows, a lot of them, out of Beverly Hills High School. And they allowed me in there, and then I had a built-in audience, excuse me, and then I would bring all the children from all different parts of Los Angeles, and I was very into the school system, so I did what you did in another way because of what I was doing.
See, and I love stuff about school because, you know, if you take out the arts in school, there's nothing left. And I came from a drum and bugle corps background and bands. So that's one of the things I like to donate money to because if you take that out of the schools, there's nothing left. What, are you going to stay home and play video games for the rest of your life?
That's right. Valiana, you know, listening to our conversation and what we're doing, is this also something you have in mind? I mean, I think Brian can help you with it, is to start creating, getting all your sort of, you know, imaginations and terrariums and all what you have into the movie industry and into these, you know, these celebrity houses and everything? Because this is something they would love because it's so unusual.
Correct. Yeah, I'm really excited to be doing a few pieces. There's movies coming out that I am putting together some terrariums for people that he knows and presenting them at that time. There's a producer that...
There's a couple things coming up. I suggested that, for example, Fast and Furious is coming back out in the summer.
Yeah.
I suggested that she come up with something sort of like that because I like that, how she creates stuff. It takes a lot of time, and I didn't know how long these things took until I started watching her do it, and she has fun doing it. But, you know, you could do it for individualized movies, and they would like that because no one's doing it.
Well, no one is doing that. How much do you charge for all this? Because I think there should be probably a high price to all this.
That depends on the size, the piece, how many plants are in it, how long it takes to put together. Like Brian said, it actually is quite a long process. It doesn't seem like it's that much, but it's kind of a operation, if you will, really taking and putting in and placing things in the correct way, making sure each plant can live together happily in the same terrarium.
A lot of care goes into it. I didn't know, you know, for example, that you know, I call them pebbles, but they're not. I'm thinking of like the ones here that say love. She washes them off and stuff like that. A typical guy might think you just throw them all together, but that's
right.
not how
Well, yeah, I would think that too. You know, I think that would actually, I would have thought it would have been better to have all the natural stuff in there, but it's not.
No, it's not done like that. She takes special care. And I'm going to actually, that's one reason why I want to film her doing that, because people have no idea. You know it, for example, putting a show together, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Tell me what I went through this morning.
I understand this now.
I went into radio mode. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this going now.
Yeah, it's like, everybody, and my producer, Steve Tothy, was hitting me, he said, what's going on? And then the young lady, Nan in New York, and I said, don't worry, I'll sort it out, I'll get it together.
They have no idea, but you understand.
Well, I do understand that you just have to keep moving and moving and moving until it works, but you also have to have your people behind you to help you as well, and that's what, unfortunately, I had that. But it is something very different, but you're absolutely right. Unless you stay on top of it, it can absolutely, totally fall apart.
Yeah.
And I don't think we want all our efforts and all that to sort of, to happen. What are your ventures now, both of you, either one of you? What is your sort of goals? Where are you off to? And I don't mean back to Los Angeles, I mean in your lifetime.
Goodness, I personally would, I love speaking with Steve and consciousness. That is pretty much where I'm at as well. Everyone in the world being conscious and living for now, or doing things for the now, not the past or the future.
Yesterday was yesterday, and we kind of learn from it, and we move on. But today we're actually living, and I think, living in the moment is absolutely wonderful. And I know that we also have to plan a little bit for ahead, but enjoy your moments. And do you find most people out there are conscious or not conscious?
Not conscious.
Unfortunately, I would have to say not conscious.
Well, from both of you. I'm definitely going to say the same thing, because, but people are not. And why do you think that people are living in such a sort of non-conscious world of what they're living and what they're going through, or the economy, their work, their children? What's the problem?
I think we're just, I would think that we're more focused on us, not all of us around, everyone together. And when we move outside and we help each other and love each other, then we get that help back for it all, the energy that we get from each other. And unfortunately, we're all me. And
oh, absolutely. It is all me, everything. I this and I that, and me this and me that, and you sort of think, okay, well, then you obviously don't need me.
I come from the Buddhist philosophy, of cause and effect. I mean, you've got to go out and make a lot of causes to get those good effects back. And there's no time limit. The universe doesn't know a time limit. It comes when it comes. And a lot of people, especially young kids, they think they're going to do everything by the age of 22, 25. That's not necessarily how it works. I call it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I tell all my friends that, and I'll tell people who call me who want to get in to do things that we're doing. I'm like, this is a marathon, not a sprint, and you got to communicate. It blows my mind that people don't communicate.
Right. People these days do not communicate, and both of you actually are in the communication business, because you're communicating actually what you're doing with your flowers and with your animals and everything. You're actually bringing a piece of I don't want to say sculpture, but a design, a creation, into somebody's office or someone's home or wherever it may end up. And other people are going to see it and talk about it, which makes a lovely conversation. So you are actually creating, a conversation with strangers.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
That's what makes it so much fun.
Does that make it fun for you?
Yes, very much so.
See, and again, that's what I call the more part. There's no definite answer what the more part of movie reviews and more is. Yes, it's about movies. It's about getting people to go out to theaters and stuff like that. But it's also about doing other things too. That's the real more part. Like Ballerina is the more part of that. I have a champagne label. That's the more part, but it's connected to everything. Whether we do wine tastings or dressage or flying a plane, it's all connected for us.
Yes, absolutely. And Ballerina, where do you see yourself going with what you're doing? Because I think bringing in, being conscious is going to be a very big part of your life, because very few people sort of talk about that. I think it's getting more and more, but you're sort of really out there with it. So where do you see that going?
Goodness, with art, it's hard to.
It's creation. What is creation?
Creation and living things, and I'm all about life and living things, and hopefully that it touches others in a way that they see everything that's alive around us and want to be a part of that as well, and bring that to them.
She does a good job when it's creating. I mean, when she, it's funny. I'll call her and I'll ask her, "What are you doing?" Because I want to know what she's moving on to next. And she sounds flighty because she's working, she's creating, she's in her zone. And I start laughing to myself, and I'm like, "This is great." So when I see her doing it, it's interesting. She's
funny. No, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because this morning things were sort of a little going chaotic, and I'm like trying to get something to begin. She's laughing, and I'm thinking to myself,
"But that's her. That's what she's like."
I have to.
That's funny.
It is funny because I'm after I put the phone down, I thought to myself afterwards, well, that was actually rather pleasant because we got this thing going on, and she's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." She's laughing and thinking, "Oh, okay."
phone me with any creative idea of having an event in Las Vegas or a business that is here, would like to do something special or just something seasonal. My number is 702-239-9226, and I love doing the unique things because...
Well, I'm going to put an interjection in there. I'm also going to say that anybody out there, doesn't matter where you're from, whatever country you're from, as long as you pay her airfare, she'll come out and do whatever you would like them to do. Good
she
idea?
likes to travel. That's
I would
a good
love
thing.
that. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so that's another thing, because there's a lot of people there that your creation is very good. You create beautifully. So there might be people out there that would love to fly you somewhere to create something for their house or their show or their garden or whatever the case may be.
Sure. I wanted to also share with you one very special piece. I call it the Living Love Terrarium, which has a message in a bottle, so you can you can do a lot of neat things with it. And for instance, I have this one. I'm going to move here.
Well, now I can't see you. Oh, I don't know what you're doing. Where are you going?
Okay, I'm right here.
This is the
Can you hear me?
creative. This is the creative show, guys.
So this is the Living Love Terrarium,
Okay.
and these two are bottles here.
Okay.
And you can open them up, so it can be a treasure hunt or anything like that. And then there's a message in the bottle, so you can put whatever you'd like to in the bottle. It can be name tags. This one says, "Look under the napkin." So as the person that's receiving the terrarium and they look under the napkin, will you marry me?
Oh my goodness!
So it can be a lot of fun.
Unique. Yeah, that is definitely unique.
Yeah, and
That's a different idea, because we've been on the cliffs and we've been on ships and we've been everywhere. But with this would be amazing.
yeah, and you can have fun with it. Like I said, you can do, let's say, treasure hunt. Look in the other bottle, and then there's another message. And then look over here, or kiss me, or whatever you'd want to.
Whatever you'd like to do, have your own sort of, thing you would like to put out there. Are you going to do this for when you get married, when you have a guy and you have to give him, the idea, because he's the one that's going to propose to you. Hey, Brian, remember this. I'm not married, Brian, but if you're married...
I'm not ever getting married. I'm 98% sure of that.
I thought you were going to say you're 98. I was going to say you don't look 98.
No. I'm 52 and proud of it. No.
52. You look amazing. Wow, whatever you're taking, I want to take the same thing. And it probably because you've never been married is why
That's
you
the
look...
problem. I'm not taking anything.
Yeah, because he's never been married, exactly.
Absolutely, and never had any kids. You know how rare that is in the entertainment industry.
Well, I was married, but I don't have kids, so I'm halfway. I've done half of it.
I still beat you. I haven't gone. I'm not going that way. No.
No, I was fortunate. I had a great guy, so I was sort of. But that would have been lovely if I told him about this and I'd introduced you to him. Probably wouldn't be a good idea, because he'd probably think, nah, stop taking her, I'll forget her. That wouldn't be a good idea. I love your sense of humor, Brian. So, Brian, now where are you off to? You've got, you're 52. Wow, you're getting up there, young man. And
I know. Old age is creeping in. Yeah.
Well, but you don't look it, so who cares? Well, age is, my greatest thing is age is just a number. Doesn't matter.
It is just a number. I feel 37. I'm happy about it.
Right, you look 37. And how can people reach you? And if they're reaching you, what would they be reaching you for? For interviews, PR people, customers? Why?
I look out for the underdog. I like, I think it's the Libra in me. I love drum and bugle corps, so I love anything with marching bands and drum and bugle corps. I like that because it's part of the arts. You can see where money is, especially in the summer when the kids put the hard work in doing stuff. So I like that's a part of the more section too. I love movies. I'm a movie whore. I mean, if I don't see a movie for 3 days, I start going nuts. That's kind of my outlet. Yeah, I've got to see movies. I've got to watch a TV show. Because there's not anybody watching more movies than me.
You do movie reviews anyway. That's what you're...
Yeah, but I still love it. But if I miss a movie, I'll still go and pay to see it. That's the difference. Most reviewers, or almost all of them, don't do that. They feel it's beneath them. But I still like to go to the movies. I still like to go and have popcorn.
Well,
I know what it's like to pay $10 or $15. And I'm like, I don't want to give you my money, but I want to see the movie that bad. That's how bad it is for me. I got to see the movie.
You've got to see the movie. You just talked about money. They don't want to spend $15 for this and $20 for that. Yeah. Why are we so obsessed about money? What difference does it make? What difference does it make?
Here's the
thing. We like to do. Why not?
I've never done anything for money in my life, and my friends know that, ever. Neither has my co-host. We just don't operate that way. So I come from a whole different things, and that's why I choose a lot of people. I like to choose them, and then it's up to them not to call me or to say, well, who's this weird black guy coming and giving me a business card? But I feel I can help them. I have a lot to offer them. I don't know what they're going to give me until they call me. So it's interesting to see how many people don't communicate. Valerie was like, she could have been like that, but we connected. And many other people like that. So I built a small little team like that, and we all get along.
But don't you find that's actually what happens out there? We kind of get connected. I mean, Malorina and I got connected, and usually I went over and saw and congratulated her for winning the show and the whole bit and everything else. But we connected because I think it's because you don't have all these blockades in front of you.
People are afraid to take a chance. That's what it is. Okay. I know what it's like to work for a corporation, even though I never did that. If someone came to me and said, we're going to give you $3 million in movie reviews and more, I have no problem saying no. Because I worked really hard to do this. This is I call it a family event of putting it together with my friends. I wouldn't, you can offer me $10 million. I wouldn't sell it because I'm having fun doing it. Now I have a champagne that I get to do that says movie reviews. Oh,
I love that. Look at that.
And it's based on what I like, how I like it, and everybody seems to like it.
So is this an item you sell?
Yeah, I haven't even started selling it online, and I'm on my 12th case.
All right. You're just giving it away.
Well, I'm giving it to people that I like, but I'm also giving it to good publicists and stuff like that too. So there's a method to my madness.
Absolutely. So
but it tastes good too.
Huh? It tastes good too.
I like
it. It does. It's nice and crisp and fruity.
Yeah, they made it for me.
So is it your own concoction or your own ingredients in there?
Well, yeah, because I like a little bit sweet. Not too, just enough. So a lot of my red wine drinkers really like it because they're picky. So I'm like, if they like it, then it must be something. But I had someone in Vegas saying this label, looks terrible. You're not going to go anywhere with it. And he goes, what do you call it? I go, I don't know, movie reviews and more. He goes, the only thing I like about the label, because he didn't like the label, was I like Sebastian. I go, well, B. Sebastian is my email at loadmail.com. He goes, call it B. Sebastian. So it's called B. Sebastian.
Oh, so you did change the name.
I never had a name for it to begin with.
You keep mentioning the name more all the time. You keep saying more and more and more this and more that. What is this more that is so embedded within you? What does this mean for you?
No one's ever asked me that one before. That's a good question.
It was a great question.
See, I knew I started to like it for a reason. No, the more part is it doesn't have to be about movies. Because everybody who's got a movie site or doing movies, they're not happy. A lot of them are miserable because they're working for someone else and they're trying to keep that job and, I got to go see this movie. No, you don't have to go see the movie. You want to go see it. I mean, this is not a hard job. Try working on a ranch with 12 horses. That's hard work. Or digging a ditch. That's hard work.
Yeah, but that makes doing that is not hard work for them either. It's like somebody would turn around and say to you, you've got to interview all these movie people, you've got to find them all, you've got to get them all, you've got to organize it. That's a lot of hard work. You and I...
It is a lot of hard work, but they don't know that. But here's the other thing. I've been criticized for bringing a lot of my friends. And the reason I bring them, because I bring them to get them outside the four walls. I bring them to inspire them. If I know who you want to meet, well, I can tell you who I'm going to interview them. You're going to be over there. If I really like you, I'll let you ask a question. I'm not supposed to do that, but I've been doing it for so many years. They're used to me bringing someone. If I don't bring someone, they're like, well, Brian, where's your guest? I've had people be me, women be me underneath my name before. You don't look like Brian, but we know Brian. Okay, go ahead in.
Wow. So do you find it hard? I mean, let me back up. Do you have a show every day or once a week?
No, I like to do weekly on the website. Every day is a lot of work to do because I wouldn't be able to see all the movies. I wouldn't be able to have the champagne label. I'm going after sponsors that I like. Coke came to me. I don't drink Coke. I don't drink Diet Coke. But occasionally I love to have Sprite. So, one of the people that I really would like to be involved with, and we're going to be involved with, is Real Water. Last month they were the third best drinking company when it came to water. Now they're number 2. They'll be taking Smart Water over very, very soon. So I like them. So I chose them, and I met them at the Santa Barbara Film Festival. I met the owner. I was looking for
Oh, wait a second. I hope right now that they're going to be paying you for that ad you just gave them.
But remember, I don't do it for money. I do it because my friends like it. It's my friends who turned it on to me that I'm starting to drink it now.
Hey, Brian, you drink water, but you've got to make money somewhere. How do you make your money? You give everything away. What happens? How do you make money?
It's about the cause. It's cause and effect. The money's going to come. I've never been concerned about that. But I had all these money people saying, you know what, you better start charging now. I'm like, why? I still like what I'm doing. Yeah, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, they didn't do it for the money, and look what happened to them. Look what Apple, what are we using? Apple and Microsoft, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I look at it like that. It's about branding. You know, I wouldn't have driven all the way up here, and you don't know the interviews that I blew off to come help my friend to do the show.
Love it, I love it.
It was about that. It was about helping my friend out. My friends out. That's what's more important to me. The money is going to be there, and they get to share in all this sooner or later.
We're getting back to conscious living again. We're getting back to the conscious way of life, and people to be conscious. And I just love your presentation of forget about the money, do something you like to do, and the money will come.
But that's what we're supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be, if you don't, and I tell my friends this, if you're not doing what you love to do, you're going to go and do something just to pay the bills, you might have to do that, but still do something that you love to do. So the first thing I ask them, what do you absolutely hate doing? And when I go down that list, I'm like, good, you created the list, now you don't have to do that. Now, what do you love to do? It's simpler that way, because you've already put aside what you don't want to do.
That's what I do with menus when I go into a restaurant. I eliminate what I don't want, and then I've got a little bit left of what I want, which is never too much, but at least I've eliminated all that other stuff I really don't want. And you're right, eliminate what you... Why would you want to do something you don't want to do anyway?
Absolutely. Have you seen those people that look miserable when they were doing the job? I mean, I don't necessarily feel bad for them now because they made the choice. It's about making choices, as we know. Yeah, I like watching Valerie make things because I can see the care and stuff going into it. I didn't know this before. I see it. It's creating something out of nothing. When I go and do movies or do an interview, I do an interview like this. I don't go in front of me with a notepad. I know most things about you. I'm going to go from the feeling. When I walk into that room and I sit down and I do a TV interview with you, if you're tense, okay, I know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go into, okay, I know she likes this.
I'm going to tell a joke of that. Yeah, you're absolutely... Well, that's actually like, that's putting people at ease. That's making people feel comfortable.
And that's my specialty when it comes to that.
And once you do that, you've really got... they can actually say anything, do anything you want, because now you put them at ease. They really don't mind what they say and what they do at all.
Absolutely.
What's the most important person to you that you've interviewed?
I would say, off the top of my head, it would be Oprah, because of what she's done for a lot of women. Now, I went to her and I wanted to offer up something that I was going to do, and she said something that made sense. She goes, I tend to gravitate more towards women because they're the ones that are going to be leading the charge into the 21st century, and she was right about that. So I knew at that point I didn't have a chance, but that didn't mean that my female friends didn't have a chance. Because look at her own or what she created. I was there.
But you can also have your opinion of what us women are doing out there. I mean, we've come a long way. I'm a little older than both of you, a couple of years maybe.
Yeah, but you look good.
That's all great. And I'm looking at sort of where I started, and I was one of these women that just went out there. I never even thought of being, as of a woman, not being able to do something. That never came into my head. I just went ahead and did it.
Yeah, but you know why? There's a good PBS show called Makers, Women Who Made America, and it's airing now. And it's about what the women went through with their challenges. It's about they talked to Gloria Steinem, they talked to Lily Tomlin about things, about the feminism movement. Because it wasn't until 1972 that it was called physical abuse in Connecticut, my old state. Before that, they didn't call it anything. Now
it wasn't even there. Nobody took any notice of it. It was nothing. It was nothing there.
But the problem was always there, but it was never anything was done. It was always the woman's fault. But it was not the woman's fault. It was the man's fault. And that's one reason why I have a lot of women around me, because I learn a lot from my female friends. I always have, and I'm sure I always will. But I'm particular who I choose to be associated with now. And I tell my friends, as we move up, you guys are going to be really, really important to me, because if you see something about something and something's weird, I don't have time to be involved in that weirdness anymore. I've gone through all that stuff.
Yeah, you've learned from that, and you've
Absolutely.
discarded. See, it's funny you should say, because some time ago when my husband actually passed away, and I was thinking, what am I going to do now? And I thought, well, there's one thing I'm definitely going to do. I'm going to take all the negative people out of my life. I don't want any negative people around me. And as soon as I get somebody negative around me, I'm very nice and polite, but I guarantee I won't see much of them, because I just don't like that sort of downward. I'm a very up person. And it's funny how you usually know who they are and what they are.
Well, she's like that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, I'm going to call her Giggles.
You definitely feel the energy from others, and if it's negative, well, that catches on, and that's not something that you want. So you tend to get connected with the energy that you want.
Yeah, you gravitate to your own kind, to where you want to go, what you want. And I also think that's even, especially for you, creating what you want to do. It's like when you walk into an office and you've got an old lawyer sitting there all scrummed up and like, go, how do I deal with him? What am I going to do with, it's like, how do I create this thing? Because it's a job for you. You're not going to turn it down, but how do I create it? And how do I make him, and this might be something you do, I don't know, but how can I create something that's going to make him feel happier in his office?
That's exactly what I was thinking. I would think to someone like that, it would be, okay, let me take him out of these four walls and put him somewhere else. maybe a favorite golf hole and recreating that in a terrarium. And of course something that he doesn't have to take care of, so it will be enclosed. He wouldn't have to worry about it. He could just days off into the terrarium and go, gosh, I really like that hole. I wish I were there. I think I am right now. And, so taking them out of that place with something on their desk, yeah.
That's the whole thing, and that's what I said. You got to take people outside the four walls, because we have so much communication and technology now that you got to go back outside and go take a walk to get regrounded with nature and everything like that. That's how it's working these days. If you don't have that, you're lost.
You are totally lost. I'm always very involved with the younger generation, and I find that a lot of us are actually blaming the younger generation for being so stupid, being rude, not talking to people, not having knowledge, not doing this, not doing that. And I turn around and say, well, that's not really fair, because we are the ones, the older generation, teaching them. What are we lacking in teaching our younger generation? Because it's not to do with them. It's not to do with how they are. It's how we are bringing them up and what we're teaching them.
Absolutely.
How do we change that? How do we work on that? How do we help them? Because you're in the entertainment business. You hear a lot out there of what's good, especially the movie kids. Oh, those poor souls.
Well, one of the things I do, for example, I was traveling when I was a young kid because I was in a drum and bugle corps. That was one of the best things my mother did for me. When you're traveling in the summer months, period of June to early August. You might travel 10,000 miles. You might go to 20 states. There's not another activity that you can do that besides drum and bugle corps. Marching bands don't do that. You don't do that on the baseball team. You definitely don't do that in football or even basketball. This is the only way to see the U.S. By the time I graduated,
and is that why you did it, to see the U.S.?
No, I did it because I love drum corps.
Well, Mum put you in it and you enjoyed it.
Yes, but I loved it. Till this day, I love that activity. If I'm feeling down, all of a sudden I put on drum corps music. 2 seconds later, I snapped out of it.
Wow.
I believe that children need a lot of attention, and having that more attention and given to them and rewarded with attention, we can see where they're coming from and can work better. Children are incredible. They're wonderful. They are us. And
we were there once.
We were there once.
I still am a kid.
I still am.
We're overage juvenile delinquent.
Yeah, there you go. I agree with that 100%. I love being a kid. People ask me how old I am, and I tell them I'm 39 and holding.
See?
That's my age.
That's why I'm 37.
Yeah, you're 37 and holding. Okay.
That's right.
I can't say how old you are because you're very young already. But
35.
Yeah, well, you're all right. So you're 25 and holding.
I like that. No, I'll say 19 and holding.
Okay, 19. Okay, yeah.
Well, what's your advice for kids? What are you telling them?
What am I telling them? I give them all the confidence in the world, and I tell them if they're trying to do something or they do something wrong, I don't actually tell them that is bad or is wrong way. what I try to do is I explain to them and say, why don't we try it a different way, or let's try it this way, and sort of, let's, because, and I learned all that from the movie sets, because you will never ever hear a director, producer, or whoever's directing you on the set, you will very rarely hear them ever say you did that wrong, that was bad. You will not hear that. So I learned all that at a very young age of you. It's the words you use, or if they. It's like I remember my stepdaughter. I just met her actually, and we were in the kitchen, and she dropped this glass, her little tiny hands, and she was petrified. She said, "Oh, don't tell Daddy, don't tell Daddy." And I said to her, "No, it's okay." I said, "We can tell Daddy." I said, "Because I did not see you pick the glass up and throw it on the floor." And she and I said to her, I said, "Well, that was an accident." I said, "You just have to learn." I said, "Your little hands are little tiny." And I said, "You've got to hold it with both hands," because she was trying to dry it, or whatever she was trying to help me. But I think it's the way you explain something. They are children, and the only way they're going to learn, unfortunately, we all learn, is when we don't do it right. That's when we learn.
Yeah,
and they're so young, and they're so tender, and they're very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
And
honesty is the best with children. They need to be told what, not told, but explained.
Yeah.
Explanation, yeah, and that's important, or else that's how we learn.
They've got no other place to go. We have to teach them. But it's the same in your business when you said you interviewed a couple of people and they're like, in front of the microphone, because it was something we're not used to.
We've had almost everybody come in, and when they see more than 3 microphones, they say, their standard line is, "No, I did not sleep with that woman." Because they walk in and they're nervous already. And then they sit down, I'm like, what do I do from now? Because they don't know what to do. It's really funny.
You're thinking to yourself, well, I wasn't even going to ask you about that question about sleeping with 3 women, but since you brought it up, let's talk about it.
Hey, I have nothing to hide.
You have nothing to hide.
I've never been married, so.
You might be. That woman might just come along. It might just, Now, how can people, if people want to be on your show, how can they be in touch with you, Brian?
They could contact me through my email, bsebastian@loadmail.com. They can go on the movie site, moviereviewsandmore.com, and look at the interviews that we've done, TV, radio, and online. And they can go on Facebook. We have a new Facebook page, and I put some of Valerie's stuff up. You'll start to see the co-hosts, because a lot of times you don't get a chance to see the team that people work with. So I decided to put up the friends and people that we've all done something throughout the years. So you'll see an old interview of me that, a blast to the past from 1994 on public access show that I put up. And it was interesting. I put it up. I wanted to see how it worked. And I think it got like 368 views. I don't know why people liked it. I don't understand.
You never know who's going to like your show and like you. Like nobody knows who's going to like your art pieces and your beautiful creations. We don't know till we put it out there. If you don't put it out there,
I said, Valerie, send me 3 things that you like and let's look at them. I want to see what it looks like. So she sent over 3. I put 3 things up, and then people started to like it. I'm like, this is interesting. But the reason I wanted to do it, I don't think they knew what a terrarium was. And I want them to know what these are. I want them to know how beautiful they look and that they can be specialized in what she does. That's important to me.
But isn't this the most beautiful world right now, that you can actually really create and do anything you want, and you can get it on the internet and it goes worldwide? It's like Blog TV. We're on Blog TV, and we've got all these people seeing us. I don't know how many people are watching us because I don't have the count with me. But I know there's a lot of people that they come in and they go out, and they come in and they go out. But isn't that incredible that you can actually create something and do something, but the internet is worldwide. And
it absolutely is, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
and I forget that too, because I'm not thinking of that. I'm just thinking of, I want to help my friends out. I want to put up stuff that I think people that will like, but I also want to inspire people. That's the most important thing, because there's a lot of people depressed out there. And I know what it's like to go over to their house and wake them up and try to get them to go to the front door, and that's not fun. That's one of the reasons why I started dragging a lot of people to a 4-star hotel to interview celebrities. You know how much work that was? It was tougher getting the people out of the bed than interviewing the celebrities.
I agree with you. It is. People don't understand. They always say it's so easy. You're on television. You're doing all this. But my funniest thing is when I get people. People come on. I really don't have too much of a problem getting people to come on my show. I have a lot of people that love to be on the show. So kind of fortunate that way.
That's
but
good.
It's very good. But the funny thing is when they go, where is it going to be seen? And I give one look at them and I say, well, it's the internet. And they go, oh, well, where would it go? And I said,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
and it's so funny, and you can't really say the internet is new because it's not. But people still, a lot of people don't
Al
understand.
Gore discovered it.
Yeah, they still don't understand it's the internet. It's all over the world, which is amazing.
That's it.
So when are you going to have your own show, your own show? Both of you. You could have a show together, by the way.
You know what? I
complement
actually
each
don't
other.
want that to happen because at that point you got to just start dealing with corporations and stuff like that. I like having my freedom. I like to be that one guy that can bring on anybody and do what I want.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of independent. What about you, Valerie? What do you want to do the same thing? You would rather be? Do you want to be very big and very out there?
I like my hands in the dirt, and I like working with living things, and I love people also. So wherever it leads, I don't plan on having a show, perhaps, but I do love. This is exciting. This is my first show that I've ever been on. So
Really? And what's your experience of it? How's it been for you?
well,
I've had the worst time. I wanted to leave 5 minutes into it.
Oh, great! Thanks a
No,
lot.
no, I think it was really good. You know, we hadn't met before, but I like this. I think it's great.
Yeah, we've never met, but I did with.
But I have a feeling we probably have.
Well, we have somewhere, because we must have done, because we were both in the same
Yeah.
place, doing the same thing, and we must have crossed paths somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
But all my shows, I have never, ever pre-interviewed anybody on my show. Well, that's wrong. I did it one time with all my kids. It was down in Los Angeles, and I interviewed these kids. I thought, I'll interview them before I put them on the show, and we'll all know what we're doing. It was the worst thing I ever did, because we got on the well, because they didn't know what to say anymore. They'd already said it all.
And that's what I say about the celebrities walking in and sitting down. They see these mics. They don't know what to say.
No.
And I'm like, you're an actor. Make
There
up
you go.
something. That's
Well,
why they always
anyway.
say, no, I did not sleep with that woman, because they're nervous.
I know, I did not. Oh, you didn't, huh? Well, I'm going to say you did. Well, we're going to have to close the show out, and we've got Petals Isabella, and what is that website again?
www.petalsisabella.com.
Okay, wonderful. And they can reach you through your phone, right, Brian?
Yes, they can reach me at, I'll have my Australian friends calling me from now on all the time, I'm sure. 424-288-1715, and like I said, they can, I'll have to give you a free bottle. I don't know if you drink or not, but I think you'll enjoy it.
She's here in Las Vegas.
So.
She's here in Las Vegas.
Look at it, she's happy already.
Don't ask questions like that. I'm in Vegas. And do I gamble? Anyway, I want to thank all our audience out there, Blog TV, and everybody out there, Steve Toth, and Conscious Evolution Media. I want to thank them as well for putting this all together. And Nan Herring, who is in New York, she put a wonderful show together, and it was very tough for her. So we, all three of you, thank both of you for putting this together and all your
They
heart.
made it work, didn't we?
They made it work. We
have to thank Steve, too.
Yeah, well, it is. Steve Toth, we just thanked. And everybody, thank you so much. We will see you next week. And thank you for watching Ninon Speaks Media Image. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Watch the Maxed Out Money Hour Internet TV show program All About Money with your hosts Ninon and Coach Steve every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central at realcoachingradio.net.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kids Talk Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing youth advocacy, television programming, and training services in the United States, along with comprehensive medical and educational services for the developing world, most recently in Kenya, Africa, where Kids Talk Foundation provides a feeding program, medical care, and educational services to over 1,300 young people each day. Please help our youth and place your donation. Go to www.kidstalk.org.
You're watching and listening to Conscious Evolution Media, shifting global consciousness at consciousevolutionmedia.com.